Hey guys, Steven Martinez with The American Dream. I just want to say a big thanks to all our supporters and fans. It's because of you guys that we're able to keep growing. Having said that, please don't forget to follow and subscribe. It means a lot to us. That's what helps us keep growing. And also, I hope you guys enjoy the next episode. Hey guys, welcome back to The American Dream podcast. I'm here with a very special guest, Claudio Vilas. The roofing biz broker.
Yes, sir.
Good to have you, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So for people that don't know, this is take two. We messed up take one. Let's keep it authentic. Anyway, so for people who don't know Claudio, what got you to being a business broker?
Good. Well, so like I said, I'm a pretty old guy, so I got a long story to tell, but I'm going to make it real short. So I did high school here in the United States. I'm from Argentina, by the way. And I went back to Argentina, and in order to pay for my studies, I started teaching English. And I taught to American companies like Citibank, Johnson & Johnson, and many other ones. And basically, that's how I started my interest in business. Now, I was working with large companies at that time. I was teaching English to all these people, and that's how I started my career, basically. I sold the Institute when I was 26, and I joined J&J. Wow. And I started with Johnson & Johnson as a sales rep, and I did all my career with them for 22 years until I finally retired when I turned 50. And at that point, I was like, okay, I've learned so much from working in these companies, but I don't like the large corporations. I'd rather work with smaller businesses. And I thought, why? Because it's much more authentic. In a large corporation, you work for a paycheck. When you're working for a smaller company, you're working for the passion. And the business owner, the small business owner, typically is so much more passionate for what they do, what they want to do, what their vision is for the future. And there's a big gap in knowledge sometimes that the small business owner, because he doesn't have access to everything that a big corporation gives you, you don't get to all of that unless you're really driven and you really are curious about things. There's many things that you just don't see that they're out there. So it's tough to be a business owner, and to actually be successful as a business owner is even more difficult. So probably 8 out of 10 businesses fail within the first few years.
And
so
all businesses, or just specifically?
In general, small businesses, are very difficult to actually pull through after the first 4 or 5 years. So
really?
That's the statistics, yeah.
How many of them?
Approximately 70 to 80% of the businesses fail within the first 5 years.
Wow.
So, and the ones that are successful, or quote unquote successful, are just small businesses that never get to the next level. So taking a business from a small business to a large business takes not only a lot of effort, it takes a lot of smarts and also a lot of luck, right? Sometimes you do everything that's perfect, by the book, and you get a COVID, or you get, some kind of problem in the world that doesn't allow you to succeed. So it's very hard to be a small business owner. And I think, 80% of the businesses in the United States are small businesses. So if you think about it, the whole US, the American dream, is built on these people who are so, committed to what they're doing that they're going to be mildly successful if they're lucky. So there's a lot that goes in there. People typically, they have this fantasy that you're the business owner, therefore you're rich. And it's not true. Most business owners make less than some of their employees. So I have a lot of respect for the business owner, like I said before. And when I left J&J, I said, okay, what can I do to honor these people and to help them move on to the next level? So I became a business broker. And for many years, I did just any type of business. I was completely agnostic into what kind of business you would give me to sell. I would sell laundromats. Actually, I own a laundromat, by the way.
No way.
I would say, yes, I do. I would sell laundromats. I would sell hair salons, restaurants, or whatever for a few years. But then I decided that if you focus in one industry and one industry only, you can do a lot better and you can be a lot more effective in what you're doing. So 2 years ago, I decided to focus specifically only in roofing. And that's why the Roofing Biz Broker.
Why roofing?
I don't know.
Really?
No, yes and no, actually. I wanted to focus in one industry, and my idea was going to be to focus on the medical device because I worked with the medical device industry for 20 years.
Wow.
But I sold one of the top 100 roofing companies 2 years ago, which was Nolan's Roofing down in Florida. And Greg Nolan, who became a friend of mine and helped me a lot, he started introducing me to other roofing companies, and I said, okay, well, this looks like a very good idea. And then I found out, this was by chance, not by design, but I found out that there was a lot of money coming into the industry by, from private equity. So I said, okay, well, this is it. I'm going to just focus on this, forget about everything else. All the other listings I had, I just gave them away to somebody else, and I said, I'm burning my bridges and I'm just going this way. And that's what I did since 2023.
So within the trajectory of starting your career, what would you say were key points that helped, that like made you say, you're like, okay, I'm going in the right path with what I'm doing?
My career as a business broker, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so when I first started, like I said, I was selling everything, and I realized that I could make a good network to be more efficient. Once I started focusing in roofing only, I started getting to know the players in the roofing industry, like you, for example, and other people as well, and the buyers as well. So now I've always sold more than at least 2 businesses to the same buyer, okay? So that's very important, because I now know what the buyers are looking for, and I'm just not putting anything out in the market. I really ask the right questions to the sellers, so I can prepare that business to sell. Businesses are very difficult to sell. It's not like you just put an ad in the newspaper and somebody comes and kicks a couple of tires and they buy the business. There's a lot that goes on in a business sell that people don't necessarily realize until they're in the whole process. And asking the right questions to actually make sure that you can promote that business to a potential buyer is very, very important. And if you don't know about the industry, you don't know what the buyers are looking for. So, focusing on one industry is at least to me, it was the key to success.
So what are the key questions that you look there?
Well, of course, you want to know, when you're looking for a business to sell, you want to look at it from the buyer's point of view. And this is one thing. Sellers are business owners.
Yeah.
Okay? A business owner is not necessarily so much focused on what the buyer is looking for. So I start asking, how much money do you make? Okay? It doesn't matter how much money you sell. It doesn't matter how much your revenues are. The important thing is how much money you keep in your pocket.
Your EBITDA.
Okay? Your EBITDA. So when I ask a question about EBITDA, most of the time the first question is, what is EBITDA? So that's where you get started, right?
Yeah.
And then you start pulling from there, and there's a lot of other questions that the buyer will ask you, like, for example, what's your accounts receivable? What's your turn? What sells by employee? There's a lot of things that the buyer will ask you that typically, as a seller, you're not paying that much attention to. Right? As long as you're paying everything, again, we can talk about the type of accounting, which is accrual accounting, not cash accounting, and most business owners are not there, right? So they believe that because you have a very nice, logo, and people are just going to want to buy your business, but the questions that the buyers ask are different, okay? They really go to how much, because a buyer is an investor, so he's going to put money in the business, and he wants to have return on that money.
For sure.
Right? So the questions he's going to ask is to assure himself that he's doing a good investment. So for example, if you have a business that's growing very fast, many buyers are going to say that they're not interested in that, because most people, when they're buying roofing businesses, they're looking for steady growth, not explosive growth, right? So if you sold $5 million today and $20 million next year, your valuation is not going to be based on that $20 million, right? You need to continue to have that trend for a buyer to actually be interested in.
For how long?
At least 3 years.
At least 3 years of consistency?
Yeah, consistency.
What's a good percentage of EBITDA for a business owner to have?
It depends, but you want to have at least 10% in EBITDA, 10% on sales. 20% would be fantastic, and if you're above that, you're really doing well.
Okay, so as you're doing the due diligence with these businesses, I guess I've always wondered, because in a sense, you're doing transactions, but you're helping sell someone's part. Like
Yes.
someone is like, that's my baby, right? That's just me.
Yes.
So you're like, I
Yes.
don't want to sell
Yes.
it, right? So how do you deal with people like that in that sense of selling it?
You know, people think it's only a financial transaction,
Yeah.
and there's so much more to it, and that's why it's so hard. There's so many variables that you're looking into, right? Somebody that wants to retire, but his name is in the front of that company, so they want their legacy to move on. That's why my motto is your legacy, my commitment. Because I focus more on the legacy that you want to leave than actually the price. Because price is just one of the variables on a business, right? You have the price, you have the terms, you have the legacy, you have to know who the right buyer for your business is, okay? And how well are you going to get along with this buyer once you sell the business? Because selling the business is not the end. Sometimes you're going to be there for a couple of years before you actually do the transfer. So, you know, if your buyer has a different set of values than you have, even if your business is good, you're going to struggle in the future because it's all human relationships, right? We are people. At the end of the day, you know, money is only made because you did the right thing, because the people were able to work together.
Absolutely.
So how do you have a buyer that's going to work together with you, right? So I get a lot of calls, you know, when I'm talking with somebody that wants to sell their business, it's like, oh yeah, I got private equity interested in me. Well, what do you mean by private equity? There's hundreds of private equities, right?
Yeah.
And is that the right person for you? Okay, how do you know if you don't date other people, right? Okay, I'm married. I've been married for 25 years.
That's a good one. I like
But
that. Yeah,
you know, before I got married, I had to date, so I know that my wife is the right person. I'm just saying. So you know, but I wouldn't just jump and get married.
Absolutely.
You want to meet people, and in this case, it's so important because there's so many different ways to look at a business, right? None of them have to be necessarily good or bad, but they're different, right? So if you focus on, I don't know, team work, and you want to treat your employees as family, you know, you don't want somebody that's going to come here and you know, just fire half of the people or bring people, you know, parachuters in. Okay, some other people don't care that much. It's like, okay, well, you want to sell it and move on, that's fine. Many people want to sell it and stay. So you know, it's a lot more about the human part than just the financials. The financials, of course, are really important, but they're not the only thing.
Would you say that the human part reflects the transactional part, like the financial part?
Of course. People who care about their business are going to be more successful to begin with. Okay, if you're only there for the money, I mean, money is, like I said, it's very important. But if you're doing it just for the money, you're never going to be as successful as somebody that does it for the growth or for the dream, the American dream, right? So, you know, if you want to start a business to leave a legacy, you're going to probably do a lot better than somebody that's going to start a business just to make money. That's transactional. So you want to make sure that whoever buys you shares with you the same values. Okay, so
I have another question for you. Just kind of listening to your story here, it seems like you have a lot of knowledge and expertise that most people don't have. Did you have key mentors that played a big role?
All my life I had mentors. Well, most of my mentors are from Johnson & Johnson when I used to work. I can tell you my best mentors are from Brazil, by the way.
Really?
Oh man, I love the Brazilian people.
That's awesome.
Because when I worked with J&J, we didn't report to Brazil because each one was a different area in Latin America. But the Brazilians, of course, because they're the bigger country in Latin America, had a lot of weight. So we always would go there, and they would have events for all Latin America. So we would teach it. So they would teach us, you know, how to do marketing or whatever. But I've always had one mentor that, you know, I would follow. At the beginning was a friend of mine. He became a very good friend of mine. His name is Mario Ferradosa, and I hope he will listen to this podcast. Mario was a big inspiration for me at that time. He really knew how to work hard and how to play hard, which is what Brazilians typically do.
Yeah,
and
all
I
Latin
love
America.
yeah, that's true. All Latin America, but Brazilians, you know, in my case at least. Yeah. Then we had another guy. His name was James Levick, and he was a big mentor of mine for many years. He taught me a lot about how to treat people and how to work with people so you would more influence people rather than direct people. So when you become a manager, when you become a director, when you grow in your career, you start trending to try to impose things, and that's not the way to do it. So this guy was really good at, again, personal relationships and being empathetic. Is it empathetic?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
With people, and how to inspire people to do things rather than tell people how to do it. So all my life I had different mentors, and one of my mentors just passed away just a couple of years ago. He was another one big guy with J&J. So most of my life, because I came now to the business brokerage part older. So and I've been a mentor to other people. So I like to mentor myself now. I like to help people, guys that are starting in the business brokerage world, to be more successful. And I try to pass what I learned, what I failed, because you can't get to be successful without failure. So I try to pass that on.
Through your life, when you're going through failures, like we said, right? Life's about up and downs, but as long as you're moving up, that's all that matters. What's that driving force behind Claudio that keeps pushing?
Passion. I love what I do. I love seeing people succeed. I love to help people succeed. It's just in my nature. That's what I like to do. So I'm very passionate, and I work a lot. I was going to say something, but I work my ass off.
Oh yes, I can say, yeah. Where'd you get that work ethic from?
I don't know. I've just always been like that. Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to succeed, but I'm an ambitious kind of guy. I'm not greedy.
Yeah.
Because there's two different things. One's to be greedy, and the other one is to be ambitious.
Yeah.
Ambitious is you want to work for what you earn, right? So I believe that the more you work, the more the chances that you're going to earn money. So I always thought, since I was a kid, that nothing comes easy, and you got to really work it. So
would you say it's more having that ethnic background growing up in Latin America that helped you understand to keep working harder coming here?
I don't. Argentinians are a different breed in some cases, especially the people from Buenos Aires, and I think I got a little bit from that, from the passion that we have. Latins, Argentinians, as you probably know, we're half Italian and half Spanish, so we got that Italian thing going on with us that we got to keep going and going and going. So I guess that's it. And the other thing is just just nature. So
you being in the position that you're in, and you're helping sell these companies as well. I asked Brian this too. It's a little similar, different, but same aspect of it. When you're dealing with these people, what are those key traits that you notice that they have that makes them successful? Because you have to start saying, okay, there's a common denominator here that all these people have something in common. What is that?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that I see people that really are successful is people who know how to delegate and how to inspire their people. Okay. So I have a client right now that he will say that he delegates so much that sometimes he goes into a meeting where his managers are, and he doesn't even know what they're talking about. It's like he lets them make the mistakes, and that's the other thing that he says. It's like we will make a mistake, we will go back, understand what type of mistake we made, how to fix it, and then we're not going to make it again. But and that's how we build a company, right? You can only learn sometimes just by making those mistakes, and then not blame people, but actually look at the situation and see what led to that mistake. How do you avoid it in the future? And then you keep going and going. So for me, business leaders are much more about the delegation, the trusting your team, not trying to do everything yourself, and always look for something else. Because what you do is you build something, okay? You start building as a person, okay? But then you bring a team. So now your team is going to take care of this, and you're going to be in the other. You always are one step ahead as a visionary, right? So you put your vision there, and then you create a vacuum, and people start following, right? And people start following. Once you get that, the same people that are following become leaders, because now they are leaving a vacuum here. And if you're able to do that, and then you become the inspirational leader that says, hey, I want to get to the moon, okay? But you're not going to get to the moon. The people that are behind you are going to get to the moon.
Yeah.
All you do is give that inspiration. From what I've seen in business, the people who have that kind of mindset are the ones that drive businesses beyond any barrier that you can think of.
So when you were in the process of creating the start pretty much of your entrepreneurial journey, I mean, I think everyone in life obviously has those, ups and downs. Yes. When you were going through those downs in your mindset, how did you overcome that?
Oh, that's a good question, because, I could tell you that I'm the greatest thing on earth, and I just was so tough, and I was able to actually, go through it, but it's not true, right? And we want to be true when we talk. And to me, it was more my wife than anything else. And when we went through really bad times, right? Because the ups and downs keep happening. But when we were there, I knew, I understood that I couldn't do it alone, right? And I needed somebody to balance things. And the cooler head was not mine, was my wife's. And after that, we decided to work together, because we do balance each other, right? Mm-hmm. I think you need to have some kind of belief, whether it's another person, whether it's your team, or whether it's God, or whether it's something that you can lean on when things are tough, because nobody is perfect, and there's you need something. Mm-hmm. Some people have different beliefs. I mostly believe in my wife, believe it or not.
I love that. So having said that, I like to always touch base on that too, because when people have partners in life, I think in my experience and from what I've listened to other successful people, it seems like partners play a very important role. Either they're going to push you or pull you. Mm-hmm. How important was your wife through the years when you were pretty much shaping up your career?
Oh, extremely important. Extremely important.
How so?
Because, well, we came to the U.S., right? Uh-huh. I didn't come. My company didn't bring me here. My wife's company brought us here. Okay. And at that time, we were both successful in Argentina. We were both doing a good career. And one day she comes home and she says, "Oh, you know what, Claudio? I just got a promotion. They want me to go to New York to work."
Wow. Okay.
But I said no. And I said, "Why did you say no?" He says, "Well, because your career, and I want to let you grow with your career. And if we go to New York, you're going to have to quit your job." And I said, "So?" He says, "Well, I would be successful and you wouldn't." I said, "Yeah, I would be successful. You're going to be successful. That makes us both successful."
Yeah.
So I actually did quit in Argentina, and we did come to the US, and she had a great career here. And I looked for another job, and lo and behold, I was hired by the same company, by J&J, here in the US.
Wow.
So after that, every time that there is a problem, either her or me, but we both balance each other out. So that allows us to be successful. In business, you call it hedging, probably, where you invest in different markets. Well, we invest in each other, right? So when I'm down, she's up. When she's down, I'm up, and that's how we do it.
I love that saying. So would you say that our generation, like the younger generation, we lack that drive? Would you say you guys outwork us, the older generation?
Don't let me talk about the younger generation, because I wish the younger generation, not you and other, I mean, there's great examples of people who are driven in the younger generation, but I believe that, because the younger generation was brought up with so many amenities, so cuddled, that they don't really know in general what the big struggles are in life. So you invent some struggles that might not be, but it's not everybody. Okay, I like everything else. When you're too pampered, if you will, you don't realize the real struggles in life. So it's important for people to actually grow to see that struggle. Okay. My generation, and especially in Argentina, we went through very hard times in general in the country. Yeah. So you're used to that. And, you can't tell that you like the light until you see the darkness. So
that's very true.
To be able to enjoy what you have, you really need to value it. And in order to value it, you have to compare it to something, right? So if you've been in a dark time, then you know what a light is.
Yeah.
Okay. unfortunately or fortunately, whatever you want to put it, because I'd love to live a life without any struggles, but it wouldn't. You don't realize how good you have it until you lose it, right? So,
it's funny you say that too, because I think the same way, but also I also think you can learn from people's mistakes as well.
of course,
Whether it's a mentor, like, hey, don't do that, I did that already, and saves yourself the headache or the financial consequence of whatever. But for you, in your definition of success, what do you think a person, because money is just a tool, right? What do you think defines success? I know success is subjective, but in terms of what makes a good person be successful, in your opinion?
I think success is a formula, okay? That it's different for everybody. For each person is different.
Yeah.
But success has to do with happiness. And happiness has to do, at least the way I see it, happiness is the difference between your expectation and your achievement. Okay? So if you are too driven, you're never going to be happy. Because once you achieve something, you're going to be one step ahead. So for the people that see you, they can see you as a success, but you personally don't see yourself as a successful person because you're always looking to the next level. So if you're able to grasp what you have and be happy for what you have, but then say, okay, well, now we're going to go to the next level, then you're successful. Now, money, unfortunately, many people think that money is success. But, having a good family life, having friends, going home and knowing that you did the best you could do and you have no regrets, right? All of that is success, okay? Watching your kids grow is success. You don't have to have a huge house. You don't have to have a Lambo. You don't have to have, the most fancy things in life to be successful. You can have all that and still feel like crap because you haven't achieved where you wanted to go. So success has to do with happiness, and happiness is a formula that says, okay, I wanted to be here and I am here, therefore I'm happy, I'm successful. But if I wanted to be here and I am here, then I'm not successful because I'm not happy. And we only have one life. You want to be happy and no regrets.
So do you think, in your opinion, you could be too hard on yourself or expect too much of oneself?
Oh yeah, all the time. I do that all the time. So, sometimes I don't feel successful, and then I get the reminder that, hey, you know what? Make sure that you balance that because you did achieve this or that.
Why do you think we're like that or wired that way?
Because we're humans, and humans always, through all of our life, we've always wanted to improve and be better. So it's just a human nature. And some people have it like everything else. Some people have it more, and people have it less. So if you have a life that brings you happiness, you're successful. You don't have to.
So would you say, in that case of being a business owner, obviously you're an expert at what you're doing, you have a family, but was there a work-life balance at one point, or were you just all in with work?
That's a really good question. And looking back, I think I didn't have the work-life balance that I should have. And not only as a broker, but before that, because I had a lot of traveling, throughout all Latin America, and I looking back at it, I would like to have had more time with my family. Now, you can't change the past. Yeah. So you're a result of all your decisions in the past. Now the future is going to be the result of your decisions today. So what you do is you don't cry. You just say, okay, well, I learned from this, and you move on to the next level. So,
what's the 5 to 10 year plan with everything that you're doing?
That's a great question. I'm 59 years old. I'm going to be 60 this year. I don't plan to retire until I'm like Gerbert.
I love that. Yeah.
89.
Yeah.
I got way too much energy, and I want to grow this. I want to continue to grow. I think I hit on a really good view or vision for what business brokerage is. Not too many business brokers actually focus on one industry, very few of them. And I want to expand on that. If you ask me, what you want to see yourself in 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when I'm 90, I want to go look back and see how many people I actually helped get to where they wanted to be. How many people did I help, do that transition, and hopefully it's going to be quite a few hundreds. So that's what I want to do.
The main factor or pushing factor in this case is that you just want to keep helping people. That's what wakes you up in the morning, that makes you keep going?
Yes, especially business owners.
Why do you want to help them so much?
Because they are the lifeblood of the U.S. or any other big
Sure.
company, big country. The business ownership
Yeah.
is such an misunderstood. Let's say it's such a misunderstood profession, if you will, or activity. People just think that business ownership is really simple, and it's one of the hardest things.
Yeah, it is.
Everything stops in you. You're putting all your life savings, your time, your family, everything goes into that business. Okay, if you're an employee, and I've been an employee for many years, I would go home. Okay, of course you have your stress, but you're not thinking, hey, how am I going to make payroll next week? Or, I got this guy that never paid me. Now, what's going to happen with my clients? Or, one of your team messes up, and then you're on the hook for something. Or somebody says, hey, I want to sue this guy for X, Y, or Z reasons, and they're going to try to sue your company away. So being a business, and you have to know a little bit about everything. So you have to know about HR, you have to know about finance, you have to know about sales, have to
marketing,
operations. And it all stops in you. Okay. So that's why do many people want to sell? Because they just can't handle the pressure of being a business owner. But one successful business owner can make or break hundreds of families, right?
That's true.
So take any big entrepreneur, anyone, or not big, small, 100 people, 200 people company. Well, there's 200 families that depend on you.
Yeah.
Not only the 100 families that work for you, the people that supply you with products. So the people that sell you products, the salesman of ABC selling to XY. Well, that salesman depends on you being successful.
Absolutely.
So again, you start driving that, and you build such a wave of benefits for society that it's crazy. So if I'm going to help somebody, I want to help a business owner, because I know that if he is successful, so many more people are going to be successful.
So for someone that has a business, they have consistent revenue, let's say 3-4 years, and they're like, all right, Claudio, what are the 4 or 5 things, what do I need to learn to really understand the process of selling my business? Okay.
So what I find that most people don't know is the whole financial part of the business.
Financial literacy?
Financial literacy. I think that's the number one, because there's hundreds of people teaching you how to sell. There's hundreds of people teaching you how to do SEO. There's all these people teaching you how to even, do the operations, but nobody is focusing on the one thing that a buyer is going to look for, which is your accounting, your financials, your basically the ratios that drive your business. And 99% of the people that I met, even if it's a $100 million company, they still don't grasp the importance of a good financial analysis. And the first thing that a buyer is going to look for is that. So every time I take a business to sell, the first thing I do the first month or 2, or sometimes it's even more, is just to go through their financials and understanding what's going on in the business. Okay. Unfortunately, that part is the part that actually drives the most problems in a business.
I've heard. Now that's an interesting question too, because I asked Kaiser that, because he sold this company. He was like, man, like it was a headache. Like they look at something so silly, like why'd you buy that? Would you do this and that and that? Having said that, speaking about finances and business, I think there's a common misconception that like, hey, my business will pay for it. My business. But if you really want to get to that point where you sell your business, you need to understand your finances.
Yes.
Let help someone understand why they should be responsible with their finances and why they should keep things separate.
Okay, well, let's go just a couple of ideas. Okay, so let's go to your working capital, right?
Yep.
So most people don't even know how to calculate the working capital. And that's a huge part of, because basically working capital is how much money do you need to run your business. And like I said before.
A year or a month? Per year?
Well, you can look at it per year or month, but the thing is, how much money do you need to run the business, okay? So the question is, if I don't know this, if I don't know what my working capital is, I can get in trouble because I will not generate enough money to pay for the business. I might be taking money out of the business when I should keep it in the business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I said before that 7 or 8 out of 10 businesses don't surpass 5 years. Why? Because they run out of capital. And you ask, well, how can they run out of capital? You can be very profitable and still run out of capital.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to manage it. Right?
Key thing, yeah.
It's
one
key.
thing is making it, one thing is keeping it.
It's
yeah.
key, but ask any business owner, okay, so what's your working capital? And they're not going to tell you. They don't know.
Wow.
Okay. So other things, well, liquidity.
Yeah.
It's part of that, right? You know, how liquid is your company? Are you able to pay your suppliers with the money that's coming in?
Yeah.
Do you know if let's suppose you have to make a decision that you need to grow sales, and you're going to lower your price to grow sales. How much should you lower that price to grow sales? And I'm not asking you because there's a lot of analysis that you need to do that. Now, what if you increase your price and you lose some sales, but you're more profitable? Okay, that type of analysis, and it depends on many factors. You need to do that, and that's what a CFO will do for you, right? That's why, you know, to be successful, you need to know about everything, but including the financial aspect of the business, which is something that most business owners are not looking into. So you can sell $40-50 million, but that not be profitable because you're spending the money where you shouldn't. Okay.
What are key things there that you would suggest or just give advice in terms of helping manage the money and keeping the money?
Hire a fractional CFO if you can.
Okay.
If you can't, just educate yourself on how to read a balance sheet, how to read a P&L.
How often should someone read that? Quarterly, would you say?
Monthly.
Monthly?
Monthly.
Okay.
You need to be on top of your business, you know, and that's the first question I ask. How much money did you make last month? I need to ask my accountant.
Yeah.
So I go and ask the accountant, how much? I don't know, but we're not paying taxes, right? So the accountants are actually going to try to help you not to pay taxes. And that's okay, but the accountant will not help you do the financial analytics. That's why, going back to my history with Johnson & Johnson, every meeting that we had was with the CEO and with the CFO. And in Latin America, because it's a smaller organization, our presentations were always with the CEO and the CFO because they need both to balance the ship, okay? You have the CEO typically is more of a marketing guy, a guy that, you know, wants to bring more sales to the business. But the CFO is going to say, okay, wait a minute. Okay, we're going to increase our sales, but are we actually going to be more profitable? Okay, so if you lower your prices just to gain market share, which is, I'm going to lower my prices and get market share. Well, you could gain market share, but you lose profitability. Yeah. And if you lose profitability, why are you even doing this? Yeah. Right? So you want to make sure that you have a balance. Everything in life is about balance, and in business is the same thing. And unfortunately, I see most business owners don't follow that. That's why I like to have these conversations with the business owners. And when I take a new listing, we go through that and we ask all these questions, you know, what's your profitability and so forth.
So would you say that's because, so I'm a business owner, I have a product and service, we're doing sales, we're doing revenue, we're doing great. But why did business owners lack that responsibility and not being aware of their finances?
Because most business owners are type A personalities and they just go. And, you know, they're not as analytical. That's why you need a balance with somebody analytical. Yeah,
that's really true. I know we're getting a little close on time now, but for anyone, any young entrepreneur, anyone that wants to eventually sell their business, what are some kind of closing statements or closing remarks that you'd like to give them?
Okay, don't lose the vision.
Don't lose the vision.
Yeah, just keep going forward, and bring the business to the next level. But have somebody in your team that's going to be looking at what I was just telling you. Because if you grow in sales like millions of dollars in sales, but you're not making money, you're still not having a business that's going to be sellable, right? Buyers are going to look for the earnings, for the EBITDA, the famous EBITDA, okay? If you're not making money, you're not having a job, you're having a hobby, right? You don't have a business, you have a hobby.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? And many people unfortunately are that. So my humble opinion is drive the business as much as you can, but don't forget that your business is about making money. And making money, sometimes people just make a few bucks and they just go for the flashy things. No, you want to be consistent in making money, right? And don't grow too fast either, because growing fast can actually drive you to trouble. Wow. If you're growing too fast, you're burning cash more than what you're coming in, right? So let's suppose I have a business that's from $1 million go to 15 million to 30 million.
Yeah.
I need to pay for the people that are going to get me to the 15 million, right? But I'm only selling 1 million. So how am I going to pay for them? My cash flow is going to be negative. Okay?
Yep.
You're putting money in the business to make it grow.
Yeah.
That's why you got Amazon, for example. How many years was it not profitable? Because they kept investing in the business, so they get investors. You can do that with an Amazon, but you can't do that with a small company because you're going to run out of money, right? So you need a balance on how you grow in your sales versus how you grow in your costs. And as long as this goes like this, you're going to be fine. But if the costs go higher than sales, even if you want to grow in the future, you're going to either need money from an investor or you're going to have to close.
True. I like that idea a lot, because usually as a business owner, an entrepreneur, you have the vision, which is great. You're ambitious, you're like, go, 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 go. But then that means more money. And then you're like, next thing you think, you wake up, you're like, I'm broke.
Yeah.
So I think there's a balance to that too. Being ambitious, having a vision, but being aware of your finances.
Exactly.
It's a great point.
Don't leave the ambition.
But
make sure that you know how to fund it. Right.
Beautiful, brother. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one.